गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुरेव परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरुवे नमः.
Do you know what a seed mantra is?
Yes.
Okay. So you know these bija or seeds, they are names of God. In Heliopolitan monotheism, like amongst the Pythagoreans and the Platonists, all the Greek worshippers of Helios, which they were, the Orphics and the Platonists and Pythagoreans were all worshippers of Helios. The alphabet was sacred, and the alphabet was made up of names of God. So there's a similar concept in Hebrew. And many of these ancient languages, actually the alphabet is made up of names of God. So in the Sanskrit, it's the same way. If you study Sanskrit with a Vaishnava Sanskrit master, they'll take you through the alphabet. And every single letter in the Sanskrit, in the Devanagari, and in the alphabet will be a name of the Lord. So that's how they teach the Sanskrit, is from the smallest unit, the bija seeds, which are the letters, which are the names of God Himself. Now, these names may be as simple as just the sound. The S sound, S, sh, and phonated with the Z. You put a voice behind a S, you get a Z sound, right? But these sounds are associated with Ananta Shesha, Sheshanaga, Sarpana, serpent, right? Sarpana in Sanskrit. And Lord Baladev is Ananta Sheshanaga. So the S sound, some scholars say, well, that's because the serpent hissing. It says his name. So, besides those bija names, which are one letter or one sound, then you also have the extended names, a little bit longer, which are two sounds. Or, maybe a single syllable that's got an uspara, or like an in or an im on the end of it, something like that. So, what I have discovered in my comparative studies is that some of these really important primal names of God and of Shakti can be tracked all over through many different language groups. And one of the roots root names is the SK, or remember that the S and the H are interchangeable. The HK or HX or SK or SX word. So we say in India, of course, Shakti, Shak is the root, you might say, of the name Shakti. Well, in Hebrew, it's the Shekinah. So in Greek, where is that? Where is that in Greek? Well, it's Hex and Hecate. Now, where is that in Egypt? Well, that is Sekhet. Now, people think of Sekhmet, the lion-headed. Well, she's, of course, the consort of the lion-headed form of God, which is the Leontocephalus time, Lord Nrsimhadev. I don't know how familiar you are with Vaishnavism or Vaishnava.
A little bit. I know.
Okay.
I know the lion-headed.
Okay, Sekhmet.
Avatar.
Yeah.
That's and Vaishnava.
Okay, so
and they have a wonderful statue at New Vrindavan.
Oh yeah, my friend Somadas made him.
It's amazing.
Yeah, he's
it's my
wonderful.
Favorite statue.
Yeah, he's a great Narahari, great Nrsimhadev. So, well, if I turn that on, I can turn it on low. Is that going to blot that out?
Yes.
Uh-oh.
We can pause.
No, we could turn this down, and it won't boil so hard, and the pot lid will probably keep it okay, because we just need it to be. Oh, I know what we can do. Go out there around the corner, and there's a whole house fan that's over there, and it's high. It's high up on the wall on your right-hand side, right around the corner there. Okay, that'll take any extra moisture out of the house. So anyway, I'm completely convinced that one of the primal names of Our Lady is this Shekinah, Shakti, Hex. Now, the word sex is also there, right? The word six, there you have your six-pointed, your hexad, right? The word six and hex are the same word. So, I mean, that's illustrative of the fact that your S and your H are completely interchangeable, like septa and hepta, right? So I'll just give little examples of these sound shifts there. So now let's look at the name Hecate. What is that name Hecate? It's Shakti. And what is that name? It's Sekhet in Egyptian. Now Sekhet is before Sekhmet. Sekhet is a Shakti of Helios, Heru Asu, in Heliopolis. Very, very ancient. So, now, what I thought about earlier when you said something about the hexad, the six-pointed star, is this is what it triggered in my mind. On Facebook, you asked about Sybil and Kibble. Now you're wondering about the relationship of Sybil to Kibble, or the great mother goddess of the Near East, the Levant area. So earlier we had a little bit of an exchange about Hecate, and I don't know if I wrote it to you or wrote it to somebody else, but it was really important to me to make a point that the earliest form of Hecate was maiden, not crone. See, because there's a terrible problem with everybody going to late polytheism, late mythology, and especially astrological stuff. It's totally corrupted, it's totally late, it's totally goofy, and it misleads everybody. Like late astrological stuff, people think of Saturn as a malevolent planet. They associate with the planets. They're not understanding what these things were originally. So in the same way, in late mythology or in modern retro, you say Hecate, they think crone, they think a hag, right? Hag, witch, like. But that's not, Hecate wasn't originally hag form. Hecate was originally maiden form. So, that's really important to know, to understand some things now. Now, the great mother goddess of the Near East that's associated with Adonis or Attis or Tammuz or Dumuzi, which, interestingly enough, Krishna has names that are so close. I don't know if you saw this. I was talking about this before, but sometimes they transliterate the name of Tammuz as Dumuzi, okay, or Tammuz, and they associate Tammuz with Adonis or Attis. Well, Krishna has a name, Adisha. He's got a name, Adonaya, Adinaya. And he has a name, Tamasai, which means dispeller of darkness, or Tamas. Tamaguna, right? So what do they say? Oh, Tamas, he's a sun god. He's a rising sun god. He's, dispeller of darkness. That's Krishna, Tamasai. So, how is it possible that there are all of these coincidences that they just happen to have a name, Adonis, Adinesha, Adonaya, Adinaya, Dumuzi, Tamase, right? Now, the great mother goddess that's associated with those stories, you or somebody asked, is she Sybil, and is she associated, is there some connection to Hecate? Okay, so this is what I wanted to say. Didn't you say that she, or I seem to remember you saying something about trivia? Okay, not trivia. Well, I think you posted something. Somebody posted something which associated with the great mother goddess of that collection of stories or myths with being worshipped at Crossroads.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, did you post that?
Yes.
Or you know what I'm talking
Yes.
about? Okay, so that's what I'm talking about. Okay. You know where the word trivia comes from?
No.
Okay. Well, we say, oh, trivia. That talk is trivia. Okay. Well, the term trivia comes from subjects of discussion, topics of interest indulged in at Crossroads. Why? Because, now, this is the modern reason that's given for it. Because all of the markets occurred at Crossroads in ancient Rome, around ancient Rome. The women would always get together and sell everything. You know, I sell my potatoes and you sell your, cabbages or whatever, at the Crossroads. Now, why a trivia? Well, trivia, three-way. When we think of a crossroad, we think of something like that. But this is the most basic form of the crossroad. A Y, where there's a fork in the road. That is called a trivia, three-way. Three-way, via way. Okay? So, the word trivia, meaning, idle talk or whatever, comes from discussions indulged in at those meetings, fork in the road, where they would, supposedly the women folk would get together and talk trivia. But what they, again, this is a problem with these moderns. They don't really get anything, don't understand it. That Our Lady of Choices, Our Lady of Lakshmi, destiny, in terms of, she's associated with providence. God, she's the mate of God who is providence, right? Because she dispenses God providence's providence. So, she was worshipped at all crossroads, for all forks in the road where you had to make a life choice. Hecate was worshipped. So if you want to study the ancient Roman worship of the deity who comes into Rome as Hecate, what you'll find out is that she was worshipped at forks in the road and crossroads. And they would have shrines for her there, because you would get to that point and you'd say, maybe life is down this road, maybe death is down that road. If I have to make a choice, they pray to Our Lady of the crossroads, of Our Lady Lakshmi, Lady of Choices. Lord, give me counsel. Let me know which way to go at this juncture. So, that's what popped into my mind when I was thinking just now about the worship of the Tetragrammaton. The deity was the Tetragrammaton, the four-letter name. Modern scholars say, oh, the Star of David, it's a modern thing. It wasn't associated, it just came in, it's not really ancient. But the hexad is very ancient. And the worship of the deity with the hexad in terms of bridal mysticism is very, very ancient. So, like, for instance, if you go to India or Sri Lanka or Nepal and you see the Sri Yantra. The Sri Yantra actually represents a union of Purusha and Prakriti. So it's very interesting if you go to Jewish mysticism and the mystical associations with the Magen David, the Star of David. What do you find? You find it has the very same mystical associations with the one triangle representing the masculine trinity and the other triangle representing the feminine trinity. So I suppose this is what you're talking about when you say the anthroposophists have got, you're talking about them. Now basically, I don't really respect H.P. Blavatsky. And I don't know how I feel about Steiner, because in some ways he was more honest than Blavatsky was, because Blavatsky was an absolute lying con artist. And she corrupted vast numbers of things just for her own use. She just, I can't respect that at all. She wanted a following, she got it. And she was a con artist, and she was just, willing to sell her services as a spy to anybody. She offered her services to several different governments. Anyway, I don't know if you know much about H.P. Blavatsky's notorious...
No, I've been just trying to understand the Valentin Tomberg, but to understand him, you have to understand Steiner, and it's so dense material. It's like Carl Jung.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
Like how much... I want to have like a few leaves that are necessary without having to digest this vast quantity of occult knowledge. Like the Buddha says, I just want to have the few leaves that will relieve suffering.
Yes.
I want to have these few gems. And that symbol of the Star of David, I think, is a gem.
Yes.
A simple gem, a simple archetype that I want to unpack.
Right. I hope that they got that.
Going.
I hope it could hear you, though.
Yes.
I hope it could get your comments.
And Tomberg is the one that coined the luminous Holy Trinity and promoted this idea. So, and he seems to be on board with much of what your research is. So I want to unpack that and get your take on it.
My attitude towards Tomberg is this. He was spiritually and intellectually so much greater than any of these people he studied that he was able to transcend so much. So like with Steiner, for instance, they made so many terrible mistakes, and Tomberg, because he had far more spiritual chastity than any of them had, and whatever it was, state of the heart, humility, true humility, he, despite having immersed himself in the Western occult tradition, really to becoming its greatest unparalleled master at his time. I believe he was the master, the unparalleled master of the tradition. He wasn't misled entirely by it. And as a matter of fact, he was able to recover a lot of what had been set aside and forgotten in the Catholic tradition. And his take on the tarot was very interesting to me, because I have my own take on the tarot. And I think I'm done on the little thing about Hecate and the three-way roads right for the moment. So I said 6, Sex, Hex, Hecate, Sekhet, Shakti, and Shekinah. Okay. Now, there's realms more too, but that was the thing that touched my brain tonight. Just wanted to get that out about the trivia. And our praying to Our Lady when you need to make choices, and the fact that Hecate had, in the Greek world, Hecate had shrines at the crossroads, and in the Roman world, it was the same thing at the trivia, and then in the Catholic epic, there are shrines to Our Lady all over at crossroads all over Europe. Little Marian shrines. So, anyway, let's see. I was starting to talk about Tomberg and the tarot. This might interest you. In my studies, I have been researching the name and form of God. And Namarupa, or name form, is fascinating from the standpoint of the earliest human writing. Now, before there was alphabet. Is there a paper towel over here someplace? Oh, there's some in that cupboard right there. Oh, wait a minute. It's all right. I see it over here. I was looking the wrong direction. Before there was alphabetic script, there was hieroglyph. And over again, you'll find in the Krishna scriptures where it said that this is really important to understand, that the Lord's name reveals his form, and his form reveals his name. And sometimes it'll say that there's no difference between the Lord's name and the Lord's form. There's an absoluteness to the Lord's name and form. And this is called Namarupa, name and form. So that the Lord's name reveals his form, and his form reveals his name. In pictographic writing, and in the worship of the Murti, or the Vigraha, the worshipable icon of the Lord's name is actually said by his form, and his form says his name. So if you take that icon and you reduce it to a stela, a relief carving, or a painting, or even a reduced further to a symbol, then the name and the form are the same. The form reveals the name, and the name reveals the form. So, this is really important in all the rest of my research to understand this point. Now, when people couldn't read script, they could read hieroglyphs. This is a picture, for God's sake. So this is one thing I'll mention on a tangent now, so that I don't read any Chinese, but I understand that there were many different languages spoken across the vast area known as China. Different languages and different dialects. However, a person could sit down and write a letter in one place and send that letter hundreds of miles away to someplace else, and they could all read the same thing. Anybody that could read it. Why? Because the Chinese used a different system. They used, again, a system where they had basically a pictographic system of writing. That's why there's so many characters in the Chinese today. In the Mandarin, I guess it is. But the idea was that if you used a symbolic system of writing that everybody understood just by looking at it, this means water, this means fire, then no matter what the person's language was, they'd be able to understand what you're saying. So